Welcome back to Scout Report, ladies and gentlemen, and today we're going to be looking at 5 players who are set to explode this season. 5. Maxwel Cornet. Losing Mendy, Ndombele and Fekir in one summer would be the death knell for some clubs, but fortunately for Lyon, they boast one of the best academies in Europe, and in attack have a ready-made replacement waiting in the wings. Though closing in on his 23rd birthday, Maxwel Cornet has never played 2,000 minutes in a single season, but is likely to be a key player for Leganes this season, having developed well despite his limited game time. The Ivorian international cost Lyon €400,000 back in 2015, and the club have already rejected opportunities to multiply that investment by 30 after turning down €12 million from Watford 2 seasons ago, a decision which is looking more sensible by the day. After putting up 0.4 expected goals and assists per 90 between 2015 and 2018, a strong record for a youngster, Cornet took a massive leap forward last season to 0.83 per 90. That ranked him 6th in Ligue 1 last season behind Nicolas Pepe, and if you actually took out penalties, Cornet actually rose to 3rd, behind only Mbappe and Neymar. His actual return was 7 goals and 5 assists, meaning that over the last 2 seasons, Cornet has contributed to a goal for Lyon every 115 minutes, a much better record than his rival for the right wing spot, Bertrand Traoré, who has scored or assisted every 170 minutes in the same period. And promisingly, Cornet hasn't just performed against Ligue 1 defences, netting 3 times in 2 Champions League starts last year and maintaining his domestic output of 3 shots and 2.5 from inside the box per game. Cornet is mobile too, completing 1.6 dribbles in France last year, despite a poor 44% success rate. But again, he looked strong in continental competition, managing over 2 dribbles a match in the UCL with a 72% success rate. He also upped his work rate in Europe, going from 1.4 tackles and interceptions per 90 to 3, showing that he has the ability to play in a high-pressing system, even against top sides like Man City, Barcelona and Nagelsmann's Hoffenheim. Younger than Timo Werner and Ruben Loftus-Cheek, Cornet is ready to help a top side now, and potentially be a difference maker in the near future. With Liverpool and Tottenham both linked in recent windows, a big year with Lyon could be the perfect springboard to stardom. 4. Eduardo Camavinga. PSG's dominance in Ligue 1 is such that any defeat brings attention from around Europe, and especially when that defeat is orchestrated by a player too young to take his driving test. The Parisians began their 1920 campaign with a 3-0 dismantling of Nîmes, but the path to their inevitable coronation was made rockier by a match week 2 loss at the hands of Rennes. This was no freak result, as PSG was second best in the Northwest, ending the game on 0.8 expected goals to Rennes' 1.2, and Marco Verratti was shown up by 16-year-old Eduardo Camavinga, the Rogue Etoile's youngest ever professional player. Angolan born with Congolese citizenship, Camavinga has lived in France since he was 2, and is likely to end up playing for Les Bleus, especially after this start to his career. With only 600 minutes in the top flight to his name, it's hard to figure out just how good it will be, but across his appearances both last season and this year, the teenager looks like an elite ball winner, making nearly 6 tackles and interceptions per game, about the same as Wilfred Ndidi and Idrissa Gueye. At 6 foot, he's well developed physically and is already showing signs of press resistance, with a dribble a game, while his technical ability seems strong too. With around 40 passes a match, he's towards the lower end for central midfielders, but he does maintain a 70% accuracy on long balls alone, while in the PSG game he had the highest pass completion of any outfielder, finding his man with 40 of his 41 attempts, one of those a spectacular lofted crossfield pass into the box to set up the winning goal. And while he may only be coming to popular attention now, Camavinga has already caught the eyes of many of Europe's top clubs last campaign, with L'Équipe reporting that Rennes have turned down bids from Tottenham, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund for the midfielder. With the same agent as former Rennes star Ousmane Dembele, it seems like Camavinga is destined for a big move before he is even old enough to vote. 3. Mickael Cuisance. Bayern Munich have had a muddled window. Though the Bavarians had the best defence in Germany last year by expected goals, allowing 0.81 per game, just a fraction more than Liverpool 0.77, they invested heavily in the back line. adding 115 million euros worth of talent in Benjamin Pavard and Lucas Hernandez. Or up front, where they looked extremely reliant on 31-year-old Lewandowski, they had to settle for second choice signings in the form of the excellent Philippe Coutinho and the much less excellent Ivan Perisic. With all the drama at the end of the field, the midfield got little attention, but the capture of Mickael Cuisance from Borussia Mönchengladbach for just 12 million euros could prove to be one of the steals of the summer. The Frenchman, who just recently turned 20, has been in Germany for 2 years, but rarely played in 18-19 as a deteriorating relationship with Gladbach's backroom staff saw him clock up just 300 league minutes and miss a matchday squad entirely 8 times. Now that's a pity, because as an 18-year-old, Cuisance was spectacular in his maiden season with the Foals in 17-18. Extremely difficult to press, he averaged 2.6 dribbles completed a game that year, the second best by any central midfielder in the Bundesliga, only behind Naby Keita. That rose to 4 last season, and with only Thiago managing over a dribble a game among Bayern's midfielders, Cuisance will add some ball progression in a league more frenzied than ever. His tally of 50 passes a game, while some way off Thiago's 93 and only good for 11th among Bayern players, is likely to tick up at the Allianz, and he was able to maintain an accuracy of 82% while completing over 3 long balls a match and adding 1 key pass a game. Finally, he can provide some defensive solidity in a team whose only specialist holding midfielder, Javi Martinez, is soon to turn 31. A contribution of 3 tackles and interceptions a match in his first year has since risen to 4.4, and some extra legs in a midfield reliant on Thiago, Martinez and Tolisso, all routinely sidelined with injury, will be welcome. If a switch to one of the world's super clubs can resolve the attitude problems which saw renowned football intellects like Marco Rose and Rene Maric pass on him, Cuisance has all the tools to anchor Bayern for a decade. Whether Niko Kovac is there for any more than a year of it remains to be seen. 2. Todd Cantwell. Emiliano Buendia may be the most polished young talent at Norwich, but their fledgling campaign in the Premier League so far has been lit up by 21-year-old Todd Cantwell. Born just 40 minutes from Carrow Road, the attacking midfielder doesn't even have 50 career games under his belt yet, and could only contribute to 1 goal and 2 assists in 24 appearances for the Canaries as they were promoted from the Championship last season. But 3 games into 2019-20, the Englishman has already matched that tally, despite 2 of Norwich's first 3 games seeing them face Liverpool and Chelsea. His ability to perform against top opposition bodes well for Cantwell's future, as does Norwich's insistence on playing attacking football at the expense of defensive solidity. Generally appearing on the left of a 4-2-3-1, Cantwell has gone from creating 1.4 chances a game in the Championship to 2.7 in the Prem, as a result racking up 0.7 expected goals and assists per game after 3 matches, the same as Roberto Firmino and Gabriel Jesus. Obviously, these are incredibly early numbers and likely to drop considerably as the season gets going. Cantwell has taken just 2 shots in 270 minutes, but both of them have come from inside the 6-yard box, a record which would be hard to keep even for Romario. But there are signs that he is transferring well to the top flight, beyond his goal contribution. Despite Norwich's possession dropping from nearly 56% in the second tier to 51% this term, Cantwell is still averaging 40 passes a game, and across the entire division, only 6 players have more key passes than him so far. That's the result of a tidy style which has seen him maintain 82% pass accuracy across his whole career, an incredibly high figure for an advanced player and one which would have put him among the top 20 attackers for passing in the Prem last year. So technically things look good, but physically there's still some way to go. If you take last season and this season together, Cantwell's dribbling is hit and miss, with just 50% of his attempted take-ons ending in success. But he is frequently fouled, over twice a game, meaning that when he doesn't beat his man, he is at least gaining territory and set-piece opportunities for his side. And crucially, Cantwell not only looks at home in the Premier League, he is performing well, suggesting he could soak up plenty of minutes this season, by far the biggest factor in a young player's development. Whether Norwich stay up or not, with Buendia, Lewis, Godfrey, Aarons and Cantwell, their fans have reason to be optimistic. 1. Christopher Nkunku. Heavily linked with a move to Arsenal in January, Christopher Nkunku ended up taking the same path as former PSG Academy teammate Jean-Kevin Agostin, joining RB Leipzig for €13 million. The Frenchman, who was born in the suburbs surrounding Paris, joined the club at 13 and leaves after nearly 9 years with the team, making a total of 78 appearances under 3 different coaches. However, none of those coaches ever settled on a fixed position for Nkunku. In his final year in his homeland, under Thomas Tuchel, he featured at left midfield, right midfield, centre midfield, attacking midfield, as a right back and even as a second striker, making his stats a little difficult to decipher. But 3 goals and 2 assists in under 1,200 minutes with an expected goal involvement every other game suggested that the 21-year-old could contribute to the attack from any place on the field, and he has started the campaign in Germany coming off the wing to great effect. At the time of writing, Nkunku has played just 86 Bundesliga minutes, but already has his first goal for Leipzig. In fact, under one full game, he has racked up 2.4 expected goals and assists, more than Firmino, Aubameyang and Kane have put up in 3 times the minutes, and making the youngster involved in 44% of Leipzig's 5.7 expected goals in their first 2 fixtures, a tally which leads the Bundesliga. But featuring all over the pitch has had a host of benefits for Nkunku. Last season in France, he showed an ability to move his team up the field, racking up around 2 dribbles a game and getting the ball into the final third 6 times per 90. Hardly outstanding in a team which also features Di Maria and Marco Verratti, but as many as Rodri managed in his single year under Diego Simeone at Atletico. Defensively, Nkunku pulls his weight too, hitting around 4 tackles and interceptions per match when adjusted for possession, and helping his side win the ball back around 5 times a game through his pressing, a tally which is strong for a midfielder and would put him in the top 5% of forwards if he could maintain it from a position in the front line. It might be early days, but with 4 shots per 90 and 4 dribbles too, Nkunku looks like a cheap and versatile addition to Nagelsmann's squad, who will at worst be a decent and at best could be a superstar. With Timo Werner reportedly negotiating a €30 million buyout fee in his new contract, adding goals from the wing couldn't come at a better time for the Red Bulls, especially as Bayern face a tricky rebuild. With a bit of luck and a great debut season, it could just be Leipzig's year. So those were our 5 youngsters we think are going to explode this season, but have we missed out anyone else? Please let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, please click on the video on screen right now for more. And as always guys, don't forget to like and subscribe.